Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about SQL relationships and the different keys that exist in SQL databases. Up to this point, so far we've only covered some basic query things that we do on single tables, right? We've talked about how to select from a table, where, filter it using the where, the and, the ors, the greater than, less than, betweens, how to order it, and some of the operators and aliases. So today we're going to get a little bit more into the theory of how the databases are put together. Up to this point, what you've seen, you probably could have pulled off in Excel just using the various functions without too much difficulty. But let me show you a little bit about how the relationships are set up. So here we have our Northwind database. And in our Northwind database, you can see here, this diagram is showing relationships between all of the various tables. So an employee can have many orders in its name. And an order also has order details. Order details have products in them. A product also belongs to a category, and products are also provided by a supplier, and our orders are shipped out by a shipper, and our orders belong to a customer. So those are all the relationships they're showing here, and you can see that they're drawing them out with this 1 to infinity symbol right here. And this is a one-to-many relationship. It means that, again, one employee could have many different orders in their name. And so that's a one-to-many relationship. The one-to-one relationships you don't see too often in SQL, but I like to think of the one-to-one relationships generally just exist as the different columns. One employee has one first name, one last name, one title, one birth date. And so to me, these are the true one-to-one relationships, because as soon as you bring another table into play and join them together, you kind of got yourself a one-to-many relationship. Now, a many-to-many relationship is a little bit more difficult to comprehend. So to do a many-to-many relationship, you actually need a table in the middle here, and this table needs to have be referencing two different IDs from two different tables. And so one employee can have many orders in their name, and a customer can have many orders in their name. And so there exists this many-to-many relationship between employees and customers. So another way of saying this in English is any one employee could service many customers, and any one customer could receive service from many employees. And so that's where the many-to-many relationship comes, and it exists because of this table right here. So let me try and show you this to make it a little bit clearer. So if we have a user table, and we have a user ID and a first name and a last name and an email, and then we want to give our users security rights or put them into security groups, we could make a security group table. And the security group table could have a security group ID and maybe a name. There's probably many other columns that we could put in both of these. Now, these two tables don't have any relationship as it stands right now, but if we wanted to give users security groups, we could just come down here and do security group ID, and this would give us a one-to-many relationship. So let's flip back over to our little diagram here. So one employee has many orders, and here we have one security group could have many users in it. But currently, one user cannot have many security groups. They can only belong to one, because as soon as this column gets a value in it, that's it. You're done. You can only belong to one security group at a time. So you might be tempted to do something like this. Let's do security group ID 2 and security group ID 3. Now our users can belong to 3 security groups, right? Because we could put one here, we could put one here, and we could put one here. You could do this, but it's not going to scale, and it's going to cause you problems later. So the correct way, and again, it's not many relationships, it's 3 relationships that we have right now. So to do a many-to-many relationship, we need a third table here in the middle. And that third table, we're going to call it a user security group map. You can probably come up with more clever names. I typically will just take the two tables names and throw the word map on the end because that's effectively what I'm doing, unless there's a lot of data in here and this really becomes an object of itself. But if its only purpose is to map the two to give us the many-to-many relationships, I'm going to give it a name like this. So this is going to have a user security group map ID, and it's going to have a user ID, and it's going to have a security group ID. Now, when we create security groups for our users, what we have to do is put some data into this table too. So we could drop in my user in here, and if I was an admin, we could put the admin's ID in here. I'll just write this out just a little bit. So we got Mike, and if Mike's ID was 1, and we have over here, we have number 2 can be Brett, and over here we're going to have the security group of admin, and here we'll just have 1 of user, and 3 will have 1 as a manager. And so in this, that would be the data that would come into these tables right here. User ID, and this is our security group ID and our name. And so again, to get this, to put Mike as an admin, what we have to do is just create a user security group map. So you're going to have your columns are going to be going across this way because they look prettier this way in Excel. And this is how you're going to see them when you print them out too in SQL. And if we put 1, 1, 1, and 1, 1, 2, and 1, 1, 3, what this is effectively doing is saying, hey, Mike's user number 1, and he belongs to security group number 1, and he belongs to security group number 2, and he belongs to security group number 3. So I'm in all 3 of these security groups in this data set right here. And so hopefully this is a way to visualize a real-world example of why these tables are necessary, and they're called junction tables. I learned that today. I just knew that we needed them before I put this lesson together. So use your junction tables and create your many-to-many relationships. So the other thing I wanted to talk about in this little lesson, let me go back to our lesson plan, is keys. Now SQL has keys, and they're really important for indexing, but they also are important to the relationships. So in every table you typically will have a primary key, and the primary key is this bolded key right here. It's the first one, it's indexed, it's what makes the SQL engine run really quickly. And over on our database here, you can see I highlighted all the primary keys with the color red, and I highlighted all the foreign keys with the color yellow, and foreign keys are just those relationship keys that exist right here. So customer ID and employee ID are foreign keys because they reference the primary key of another table. And so that's just so you know a little bit about the language. The keys will come more into play later when we talk about indexing. And that is the lesson for today. And this is prepping us to talk about joins, which will be the next lesson, when we'll actually start to write some SQL queries that take these IDs and merge the data together, and then we'll start to do some really awesome queries.